Imagine, if you will, you wake up on a Tuesday, need to print out some documents for work, and your printer refuses to work. Not because it's broken, not because you're out of ink, but because you forgot to pay HP $9 this month. Your printer that you own is sitting on your desk and it no longer works, even though nothing is mechanically broken. Now imagine your BMW smart dashboard shuts down because you didn't pay the subscription for it. Or your washing machine stops mid-cycle because Whirlpool wants their fee. Sound insane? Well, buckle up, because welcome back to Isaac Talks, and today we're going to be talking about a world that we already live in, and unfortunately for us, it's about to get a whole lot worse. So let's start with a number that'll make your head spin. The subscription economy. And that's everything from Netflix to your gym membership to apparently even your printer ink, was worth $3 trillion in 2024. That's trillion with a capital T. To put that in perspective, that is bigger than the entire GDP of the country of India. Now here's the kicker. It grew by 50% in just 1 year. From $2 trillion in 2023 to $3 trillion in 2024. And we're not talking about just a trend here. We're talking about a complete transformation of how businesses make money, and spoiler alert, it is not in your favor. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but subscriptions are convenient. Netflix is great, Spotify saves money on music, and you know what? You're right. Streaming services make sense. You pay monthly, you get access to thousands of movies and songs, fair trade. But what we're going to talk about today isn't your Netflix subscription. It's about how companies have figured out that they can turn literally everything that you own into a monthly payment. And I really do mean everything. Let's rewind to 2010 for a second. If you wanted to watch a movie, you bought a DVD, or you rented it from Blockbuster or Redbox, if you remember those, out in the lobbies of Walmarts. If you wanted software, you bought it once, maybe you paid for updates every few years. If you bought a car, it was yours. If you bought a printer, you owned it, and you bought ink whenever you needed it. Fast forward to today, and we've somehow convinced ourselves that owning stuff is old-fashioned. But here's the thing. We didn't choose the shift. It was chosen for us. Take Adobe, for example. You used to be able to buy Photoshop for $700 and use it forever. Now, $20 a month, minimum. And that's $240 a year. Over 5 years, you're paying $1,200 for something you used to own for $700. And if you stop paying, well, you can kiss your projects goodbye, because you can't even open your own files anymore. But Adobe was just the beginning. Once businesses saw that recurring revenue spike, everybody wanted in. Microsoft moved Office to subscriptions. Your local gym realized they can make more money with monthly fees than day passes. And the psychology behind it is really brilliant, but in a very sinister kind of way. $20 a month feels manageable. We don't feel the pain of a $1,200 purchase spread out over tiny payments. It's the same reason why people finance $80,000 trucks, because $400 a month sounds better than writing one massive check. Now let's talk about where this gets absolutely bonkers. Right? This is moving beyond digital services into the products that you own, but somehow don't really own. So let's go back to the HP printers, because this one makes my blood boil. HP has this thing called instant ink. That sounds convenient, right? They'll automatically send you ink when you're running low, and there's even an automated monitoring service that will just handle all of this automatically in the background so you don't even have to think about it. But here's the catch. If you cancel your subscription, HP will remotely disable the ink cartridges in your printer, even if they're full on ink, and the exact terms of the agreement state that you are to return your cartridges to HP, regardless of their ink level. Now let's think about that for a second. You bought a printer, you have ink cartridges with ink in them, but because you stopped paying HP a monthly fee, they flip a switch and your printer becomes a paperweight. And this happens regardless of how much you've actually used the thing. And if you think that's bad, it gets worse. Some people discovered that their printer stopped working during internet outages because it couldn't verify their subscription status. Sitting there on your desk, your printer becomes a useless hunk of metal because your Wi-Fi went down. But HP isn't alone in this madness either. BMW, the company that sells cars for an average price of $35,000, charges you $18 to unlock heated seats that are already installed in the car. Tesla is even offering a one-time $300 fee to activate the heated seats in the back seat of their vehicles. At least that's true at the time of writing this video anyway. And it's wild out there. John Deere is another one. Farmers can't repair their own tractors without paying for software subscriptions. I mean, these are farmers. People who have been fixing their own equipment for generations, and now they need John Deere's permission just to change out basic parts. Now, John Deere has launched a self-repair tool for farmers to use, but of course, it's monetized for a one-time fee of $195 per tractor. And internationally, it's not getting much better. In the UK, there are some smart locks that require subscriptions to use all of their features like setting temporary access codes. In Japan, there are certain rice cookers that need subscription to access recipe databases. We're literally paying monthly fees to cook rice differently, which is crazy to me. But now let's talk about why this matters beyond just being annoying and really why I wanted to make this video in the first place. We are looking at a generation that is financially drowning, and subscription services are one of the anchors pulling them down. The average American household now spends over $200 per month on subscription services. For someone making $60,000 a year, that's $2,400 annually, or 4% of their gross income. That's gross income, mind you, not net after tax, what they actually bring home at the end of the month. But remember this too, that's just the obvious ones. When you start factoring in phone plans, insurance, software, and all these new quote-unquote ownership subscriptions, you start very quickly getting near to 10, 15, maybe even 20% of your gross income per year, which is insane. But here's where it gets really dark. The same generation paying hundreds a month in subscriptions is also carrying an average of $6,194 in credit card debt. They have their first homes costing 6 to 8 times their annual income, which is compared to 3 to 4 times the annual income of their parents. They're dealing with student loans that average $37,000 with plenty of documented cases online of borrowers inching closer to $100,000 or even more than that. And they're seeing their cost of living increase by double-digit percentages year over year. So we've got people who can barely afford rent, they're drowning in debt, they're priced out of home ownership, and somehow we have normalized adding hundreds of dollars in monthly subscription fees on top of all that? Yeah, tell me we haven't lost the plot somewhere. But here's the insidious part. Subscriptions are designed to be invisible. You sign up once, and they just disappear into the background of your finances. Netflix will charge your card automatically. You don't have to think about it. Adobe bills you, and you don't even look. Out of sight, out of mind. And your gym membership, well, that just vanishes from your account every month. Companies have discovered that the best way to separate you from your money is to make you forget that you're spending it. It's death by 1,000 cuts, except each cut is $9.99, and you signed up for it thinking that you could cancel at any time. Let's talk about what this does to your brain, because the psychological impact is real and it is measurable. First, there's something that psychologists call decision fatigue. It's every month you're faced with dozens of these micro decisions. Do I still need Netflix? Am I using Spotify enough? Should I downgrade my Adobe plan? Do I have enough food for the kids this week? Can I buy this toy for my son this week, or do I have to wait until the next paycheck? Or whatever it is. These all seem small, but your brain treats each decision like a tiny little stress event. And then there's the anxiety of subscription creep. You start with Netflix and Spotify, which feels manageable, but then it evolves. Now you need Adobe for work, so that becomes necessary. Then your gym goes subscription only. Then your printer stops working without HP's monthly fee, and before you know it, you're managing a dozen recurring payments, and each one feels like it's both optional and essential at the same time. And this creates something called financial learned helplessness. You feel like you have no control over your money because so much of it just disappears automatically every single month. And you get to a point where you can't make a clean financial decision because you're never sure of what your baseline expenses actually are. But the worst part is the fear of cancellation. You keep paying for subscriptions that you don't use because you're afraid of the hassle of signing up later, or because you might lose access to your data, like your photos in iCloud or your projects in Adobe's Creative Cloud. And companies know this. They make cancellation deliberately difficult. Some you have to call during business hours, or you have to navigate through 6 pages of "Are you sure?" prompts, or they'll offer you a discount right before you cancel. It's psychological manipulation designed to keep you paying indefinitely. Adobe is a prime offender of this behavior, and so are websites like DataCamp. I personally use DataCamp for continuing education, and when I finally canceled, they literally did put me through 6 pages of "Are you sure?" with a 50% discount thrown in at the end. And this creates a subscription anxiety, it's this low-level constant stress about money leaking out of your accounts, just disappearing into the ether, combined with the fear that if you cancel something, you'll lose access to important parts of your digital life. Now, here's what's really happening. We are witnessing the largest transfer of ownership from individuals to corporations in modern history, and we're paying them for the privilege of having it happen. Our grandparents bought things once and owned them. Our parents bought things and owned them, maybe with a warranty thrown in there. Meanwhile, though, we rent everything and own nothing, but somehow we're paying more than ever. This isn't just about money, it's about control. When you own something, you control it. When you subscribe to something, they control it. And whoever you're subscribing to, in that way, controls you. HP can disable your printer remotely, Adobe can lock you out of your own creative work, BMW can decide which features you get to use in the car that you bought, and even a platform like Steam, where I was able to play the Battlefield 6 beta footage you see in the background. In the terms of Steam, you buy licenses for games. You don't actually buy the games themselves. And now we've created a system where companies can reach into your pocket every month indefinitely for products that you have already purchased. And the scariest part of all this, it is working so stupidly well that every industry on the planet wants to copy it. And that next wave is already coming. Because we're starting to see subscription models for kitchen appliances that have smart features on them, or exercise equipment that'll lock workout routines behind paywalls, or home security systems that will charge monthly for features that used to be free. And even some furniture companies thinking about offering or are starting to offer furniture as a service. And the goal is to turn every single thing in your life into a recurring revenue stream. And if we don't push back now, we're going to wake up in a world where you can't use anything you own without paying somebody a monthly fee. So what do we do about this? How do you stop the boulder before it actually just falls down the hill and crushes us? Well, first things first, audit your subscriptions. Go pull up your bank statement and count every single recurring charge. And if you haven't used it in the last 1 to 2 months, cancel it and get rid of it. And second is vote with your wallet. Choose products that you can actually own. Buy software with one-time payments whenever possible. Choose printers that work with standard ink cartridges. Pick gym memberships over fitness apps with a monthly fee. And third, embrace inconvenience. Now, we don't like inconvenience in this day and age, but there's a reason why I've used the saying, get comfortable being uncomfortable before. Because sometimes owning something is less convenient than subscribing to it. But that inconvenience is the price of actually controlling your stuff. Buy the movies you love instead of hoping they stay on streaming services. Keep local backups of your important data. And if you like your songs enough, then just buy the songs outright. And fourth, support right to repair legislation. Contact representatives about laws that prevent companies from disabling products you own. The EU is already cracking down on some of these practices, but here in the US, as far as I know, we don't have anything. Sort of tangent into this category could be companies like Apple with planned obsolescence. Even now, my iPhone is starting to show signs of wear and tear because I'm several generations behind, and that's that planned obsolescence that's starting to creep back in once again. Most importantly, though, recognize that convenience is the bait in this trap. These companies aren't making your life easier out of the goodness of their hearts. They're making it easier to separate you from your money, because corporations exist for one reason and one reason only: drive profits and maximize shareholder value. That's it. They're not out there to make your life better. They're not out there to remember the little guy. They're out there to squeeze every last penny out of you they possibly can. And this subscription model works the best when you don't think about it. So start thinking about it. Question every single recurring charge and ask yourself, am I renting this because it's better, or because I've been trained to think that ownership is just old-fashioned? And let me be clear, I'm not saying all subscriptions are evil. Netflix makes sense if you watch a lot of movies. Spotify makes sense if you listen to tons of different music. But your printer ink, your car's heated seats, that software you need for work, these are things worth owning. And paying a subscription for them just becomes ridiculous. The future that they want, and the they is the executives that are driving these policy decisions that influence such massive areas of all of our lives. The future they want is one where you own nothing, but somehow pay for everything, forever. Just like that headline from several years ago, I think this was in 2010, 2011, around there, from the World Economic Forum, saying that you'll own nothing and be happy. Well, that's not the future that I want. The future I want is one where we still have the choice to buy things and actually own them. And now between those two outcomes, which future we get depends on whether we're willing to accept a little inconvenience in exchange for actual control over not just our stuff, but our lives. So let's reclaim the control over our monthly finances, cancel some of those subscriptions that we don't need, and see if that income can be used better. Thank you all for watching. Drop a like and a sub, and let me know what you thought of the video in the comments. This is a topic that I personally really care about, and I hope you enjoyed watching. And if you haven't already, I mean, seriously, go check your subscriptions and see if you can reclaim some of that monthly income. Y'all take care, and I'll see you in the next one.